My name is Gregory Kallenberg. I'm the founder and one of the producers at The Rational Middle. 8 years ago, we had the opportunity to do an incredibly important series called The Rational Middle of Energy. Basically, what we saw out there was a discussion about the energy future that was totally uninformed. And what we wanted to do was create balanced films that brought people together to have civil, solutions-based discussions. The Rational Middle does something incredibly special in the sense that it brings together experts who understand both sides of the spectrum. They don't have to all be in agreement in the middle. They just have to be in a place where they can present the information, which lays down a foundation for that discussion, which leads to a solution. We have been touring the Rational Middle of Energy pretty much all over the country. And at the time, we were touring with the World Affairs Council. And I was lucky enough to be down in Houston and have Lauren Steffi, author and the executive producer of The Rational Middle of Immigration, on our panel.
Well, after I met Gregory and actually participated in some Rational Middle of Energy events, I was very impressed at how the format really kind of broke down a lot of the complexity and cut through a lot of the misunderstanding and the arguments that were being thrown around on both sides of the energy issue. And Gregory and I started talking about how that format could be applied to other complex topics. And I sort of said at one point, well, it just so happens I'm working on a book about immigration reform.
And then he asked me, what do you think about doing the Rational Middle of Immigration? And I told him, oh my God, that would be easy. Little did I know, how complicated the issue of immigration is.
So interestingly enough, at the time we first started talking about doing the Rational Middle of Immigration, Obama was in the final months of his presidency. We were looking at an election.
So the world was kind of a different place in the sense that the issue was out there, but it certainly wasn't the white-hot issue that it is now.
And obviously, with the election turning out the way it did, immigration has moved to the forefront, and that has made this series all the more important.
Watching sort of the histrionics and the rhetoric get turned up as it's been turned up since the 2016 election has been pretty mind-blowing. But the important part is that within our office, we understand how important this work is and what ultimately it's going to do for this issue.
When Gregory approached me about working on the Rational Middle, a light went off in my head, and the irony wasn't lost on either of us that here I was, a production manager, but also an immigrant. I felt really honored at the time because in addition to my professional expertise, I could bring personal insight to the project, which I think this debate needs. Everyone on either side of the issue, they're just living, breathing people who have thoughts and feelings and opinions and ultimately want the same things. They want the best for their families. They want the best for their communities. It comes down to us sitting down together and having a rational conversation about it.
Immigration has been a topic that's been ignored for many years in America, and we kind of backed ourselves into our corner. Everybody has an opinion on immigration, whether that's informed or not. And if it's not informed, it's not necessarily their fault. There's not a place to go and find concise information on immigration, and so that's where the Rational Middle comes in. We don't tell you what to think or how to think. We lay out the facts for you so that you can make an informed decision.
What's interesting about the rhetoric that's out there right now is each extreme side has their vocabulary, they have what they call each other, they have, the way they describe their arguments. Well, the people in the middle don't have that. They are lacking that ability to communicate what they believe. What the Rational Middle of Immigration does is it takes that vast majority of people in the middle and we enable them to have facts, but also to create their own dialogue. Where on the extreme sides you have these echo chambers, the middle understands both sides, and they are working to not only understand the complexity of the issue, but the path towards a solution.
It's really hard to find middle ground in this kind of environment, both in this political environment and with the way social media sort of overrides every discussion that we have. Everything gets boiled down to these simplistic, arguments that are sort of shouted at each other electronically. But the fact is, we can get this done.
The real benefit of having it pushed into the political sphere is that people now have to pay attention to it. What is incumbent upon us, on all of us, is to have a real meaningful debate about it and look at the issue in a way that can lead to long-term reform that benefits everyone. No matter what your views are, whether you're an immigrant or someone who's born here in the US, or someone who believes in immigration, someone who struggles with the idea of immigrants and their value, everyone should see this, because really this should just be a catalyst for more discussion that is focused on change. We've shown these films all over the country to different groups, from universities to church groups to folks on Capitol Hill, and we just need to continue that conversation.
I hope that when someone watches an episode of The Rational Middle, they think, wow, I didn't know that about that subject. I feel more informed about it, and I don't feel like there was information being crammed down my throat, or that I'm being told what to think. Immigration is not black and white. There's not a simple solution, but there are solutions. We just have to be patient, and it's up to us to stay informed, and that's what The Rational Middle is all about.
Rational Middle brings people to a place where they're sitting at a table and they can have that sensible, civil discussion and create compromise that ultimately creates solutions. Because when you look at immigration and how it affects this country, it is one of the most important issues facing the successful future of the United States of America.